Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So Cryptic Studios just had a questions and answers stream with the executive producer Brett Norton. So let's cover 26 questions and some juicy details and screenshots of some new changes to certain class powers and an update to the Boon system. First question, has there been any thought to bring back old content like Old Sharandar, Black Lake, Tower District, Pirate Skyhold? And the simple answer to that is yes. Second question, has there been any thought to add a function to Vanity pets? And yes, but it's not their current priority. Third question, has there been any thought to add a third Paragon? And that's just a no. Don't expect anything. Fourth question, will we be getting a module based on like the Planescape D&D 5e adventure? And the answer is yes, but most likely next year. Usually they're a bit behind the modules that come out with D&D. Aligning them with Neverwinter is usually about a year or so. Fifth question, will we be getting the Paladin update with Module 27? And absolutely yes. It shall be quite a substantial update to the Paladin, quality of life fixes, adjustments to feats and features just to make them all more usable. However, we got some juicy leaks as what is to come. We can see Intimidating Presence, the currently useless feat, is getting adjusted so that it deals 100 magnitude high threat attack every second to nearby enemies. Hopefully this makes it somewhat viable and will help with threat, because as it currently stands it's pretty abysmal. You gain a lot more survivability through that. Then they leaked a change to Divine Touch. It will most likely be getting a cooldown, but it will now heal allies for like 600 magnitude in the area, but also heal the most injured nearby party member for an additional 600. Basically, they're making it like intercession on the cleric. Personally, I do not like this change. I would prefer them to just make Bond of Virtue this Divine Touch version and leave Divine Touch there, as Divine Touch is currently pretty good. You'll use it to single targetly heal one player to give them a decent sized shield. But there are also some updates coming to the Barbarian, mainly the tank, but also a little bit for the Blade Master. You can see the feat Blood Fury, which changes your primal fury to have a 30 cost instead of 40, and while you go into Unstoppable, that's like your rage, the rage cost is reduced to 0, and it now restores hit points equal to the amount of damage dealt. That is a new change, along with Primal Fury getting some adjustments to its magnitudes and the effect of how it works with Unstoppable. But with the Blade Master, we can see a change to Hidden Daggers. It's negotiable whether this is going to be of much use, but they're changing it so that it has 2 charges, a 7-second cooldown instead of like 17 seconds. However, the damage has been reduced a little bit as a result of you being able to use it a lot more. It will now also only slide you back rather than leap you back. You won't be going as far. It won't like put you out of the groups of enemies. So, sixth question, will the Barbarian tank get more team support? And yes, Crushing Advance will get doubled to be 10%. Along with that, it will be a unique debuff, so it will stack with other debuffs that are similar. Same with Disarming Takedown. That debuff will now stack with like the Rogue's Wicked Reminder. Question 7. What is the stance regarding melee damage dealers and their inherent disadvantage in a lot of content, especially as of late? And they said they will very likely buff melee classes a little bit and give them some extra quality of life to make them more competitive with ranged classes. They mainly want to look at Barbarians, Fighters, Songblades and Wardens. They feel Rogue is in a pretty good spot, and if you look at some of the top players on a Rogue, you'll see that, yeah, they can actually do pretty well. It's just a matter of getting that time on target. And after that, they'll look at Whisper Knife, which isn't that much of a melee, but it still pretty much is. Eighth question, what class will be after the Paladin for the reworks? And they said they'll focus mainly on underperforming melee classes as a whole, getting the balance with that a bit better. Question 9. Has there been any thought to introduce potions to crafting, much like the Flask of Potencies? Alternatives to it? And they said yes, they would love to do that, and they are putting some thought into it. Question number 10. What is the thought process behind having something character bound or account bound or just unbound? And they say they try to put a mix out. They'll have some which is character bound, some which is account bound, and some you can buy. That way, if you want to play an alternate character, you will have to put some effort in to actually play it to get some of the items. Others you can get through your main, and others you can just get from the auction house. Question 11. Has it been considered to have the ability to upgrade older gear and artifacts? And they said they're more likely to just add new stuff that can basically fulfill the same role, have the same effect. Question 12. Will Stronghold buildings costs get reduced, make it a bit easier? And they said yes, they'll most likely introduce some way to help advance guilds more quickly, get them upgraded quicker. Question 13. Are there any plans to add new bonuses to spend Boon points on? And yes, there will be a change coming with Module 27. We can see what that looks like here. You will be able to have multiple Master Boons and multiple advanced boons, which we know them currently as tier 5 boons. You'll be able to have more than just 2 advanced boons, and you'll be able to have more than just 1 master boon. However, it's going to cost you extra points. So the first master boon is going to cost you nothing, but the second one, it's going to cost you a lot more points to get that. Same with the tier 5 boon or advanced boon. In order to get the third one, or even you want to get a fourth one, it's going to cost you more and more per boon depending on how many you have after like those first 2. But again, still open to change. And yes, there will be some adjustments to these master boons to make them a little bit more viable. Question 14. Any thoughts to add more daily powers to Bard? They said not at this time. They have songs pretty much to compensate. Question 15. What are the thoughts on the keybind balance? Some players are pretty disgruntled, especially those on consoles. They feel the devs are nerfing things unfairly because PC players can use keybinds and console players cannot. And they said they have been discussing about disabling certain keybinds. There is a reasonable chance that in the near future module patch, certain keybinds will no longer be usable. We'll have to see what those will be. Question 16. What is coming with Module 27? The answer, it will be very unique and have a very different setting. We may only have to wait a week or 2 for it to actually come to preview, that being also on the Xbox preview. Question 17. What party content is coming with Module 27? A trial or a dungeon? The answer is a trial. Question 18. Any changes coming to the Arbiter cleric? The guy who asked this feels it sucks. The answer? It outperforms most melee damage dealer classes, but it is the poorest range DPS they say. I will say it has pretty much the best single target burst damage, but that is not always the best thing in content these days. But they know it needs some love and they'll give it some attention at some point. Question 19. Have they considered adding milestones to dungeons? And the answer is yes, the Reaper's Challenge was an attempt to do just that, adding rewards depending on how many you completed. Question 20. Will there be more things added to the trade bar store? And they said yes, potentially putting insignia powder versus having to buy purple ones. Potentially rotating some new companions and mounts in along with artifacts, and potentially adding old long requested transmutes. Question 21. Any chances to bring back the Feral Raptor? The answer? They have been working on these and other raptors of similar types with different stats, but they don't like currently how it works and they want to change it, potentially be like the auras you'd have with mounts. You'd be able to give the bonus to all your teammates regardless of them actually having it, but they'll most likely lessen the effect those companions have though as well. Question 22. Will the Black Death Scorpion become more accessible? And they said they're more likely to just come out with another companion that has the same effect. Question 23. Will class shields be changed to not override each other, much like they've done with companions? And they said unlikely, because there is quite a big weak spot with that. If a strong shield has a 1 second left on its duration and you try to apply a weaker shield to replace it, it won't, and you will just have a strong shield for 1 more second instead of having a brand new weaker shield for 20 seconds. Question 24. is it better to buff or nerf in your opinion? The devs answered their philosophy is generally to buff, but if there's something that's such an outlier that really makes it that you would have to do a lot of work to make everything else be on par, they're generally just going to nerf. And that was like that with the Ribcage, the Band of Air, and the Paranoid Delusion in the past in some classes. It was much easier to just nerf that rather than coming out with new items that would have to then compete with that and buff up all existing ones to also compete. They want there to at least be more viable options than just that one. Question 25. Fighter AoE. Is there any chance they'll increase that? And they said yes. They know it needs some love and that will happen. Again, as we mentioned, after the Paladin rework, they'll be touching on those melee DPS classes. Question 26. Will Cryptic be affected by the Embracer group being in debt and all that? The answer, Neverwinter has not seen any substantial impact. So that is it for the stream and all those questions. Hopefully this has been somewhat insightful. Again, we've seen a change to Divine Touch, a big improvement to Intimidating Presence, a change to Blood Fury with also Primal Fury, and then Hidden Daggers getting a bit of a rework, and the ability to spend boon points to get multiple advanced boons or tier 5 boons and also master boons. So thanks for watching and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.